Final prompt. Prompt number three. The trade that will have the most championship impact, or the player that will be traded that will have the most championship impact. Dave, 60 seconds starts now.
Okay, well, it's a guy, he's already been traded once this season, but he's in Toronto. Bruce Brown, number one, he just won a title and was a key member of the Denver Nuggets team that won the title. Like, we've seen him do it. I think he is a championship swinging piece. If he goes to one of these contenders, I will move them up the leaderboard a little bit. Denver could use it. Man, if he could go back to Denver, but they can't afford it. So I think Bruce Brown has the biggest upside as far as championship level play of anyone likely to move. If DeJounte goes to the right team, it could be him, but Bruce Brown's my pick just because we just saw him do it in the finals last year.
All right. Mike, you're good to go.
I was worried that Dave was going to steal my opinion again, steal my great ideas again, but Dave is right. It is a player who has already been traded. It is a trade that has already been made. I think it's the Terry Rozier deal. I'll be honest. I was surprised the Heat gave up what they did. They have few kind of limited draft assets for Terry Rozier. I'm not sure that he's going to make them a whole heck of a lot better. I thought they need a little more size. They need a little more on-the-ball juice. Someone who plays, could potentially fit into their style of defense and their style of Heat culture, hashtag Heat culture. And I know Terry Rozier's got that to him, but the East is wide open this year, I think, at the top end. And I thought with the right trade, they could kind of make a move to get away with winning the Eastern Conference title one more time in their Heat way. And I don't know if the Terry Rozier deal is it. And obviously it hasn't, paid off so far. It's a short term. We'll see how it works over the long term. But I was a little bit surprised that they used what could potentially be an unprotected first round pick to get Terry Rozier.
Mike, I got a question for you. Are you saying this will have championship impact in the opposite way? Like they've ruined their championship impact? Because don't they have one win with Terry?
It's an interconnected network, the NBA, right? Like if one team doesn't get better, that means the other teams have a larger chance to win the championship, right? If the Heat have made a trade that doesn't increase their championship odds significantly, I think that's much better off for Boston. I think that's much better off for Milwaukee. I think that's better off. Well, Philly, Joel Embiid is hurt now, but for the Knicks, for Cleveland, like if the Heat had made a trade that really improved them significantly for a potentially, again, unprotected first round pick, wouldn't you be scared of facing the Heat in that situation, considering everything they've done in the playoffs for the last 4 years since they got Jimmy Butler? I think maybe just by making the deal that they did, they missed out on an opportunity to do that, to scare the rest of the East like that.
I have a question. When was the last time Terry Rozier played in the finals?
Did he play in the NCAA tournament finals with Louisville?
Just asking a question. So would you call him like a championship player?
I think axiomatically he's not, right?
Bruce Brown is. That's all.
Wait, isn't that Mike's point though? Like he's so bad, or like he's not so bad, but he's not good enough.
No, I'm not saying he's bad.
Yeah. He's saying he's not good enough to get the Heat over the hump, and so he has made them worse in a sense, and everyone else.
No, better. I'm saying that he has not made them good enough.
Okay.
To get into a position where they would be up there with Boston and Milwaukee, and again, potentially the Knicks, who made a pretty good trade for OG Anunoby. That things were looking pretty good when everyone was healthy, right? I thought Miami with the right trade could have made themselves just as dangerous, with the pick that they gave up, right? It's so hard to get completely unprotected first round picks, which that pick has a decent chance of being, and they gave it up to Charlotte for Terry Rozier. Like I was surprised. I thought they maybe could have landed someone who fits a little better, who's a little bit better off in Miami, and to increase their championship odds this season.
Dave,
are we rewarding tanking here? Is that
no?
Who's tanking
championship odds?
Dave, I got a quick question about Bruce Brown.
Yeah,
you mentioned the Nuggets, but you said that's probably not going to happen. What realistically, like, where could you see him going and like having a big impact?
This is the interesting part, right? Like, and Mike, you're very well versed in the new CBA and the implications of the new tax aprons and how hard team building gets. I think Bruce Brown could be some of these teams that maybe would wait for a buyout guy or two. I think we might see them be more aggressive and maybe even give up some guys and some picks to get a guy like Bruce Brown this year because they can't really get into the buyout market. Like Kyle Lowry.
There's 7 teams that are blocked off.
Yeah. So those teams, to me, looking for a high level veteran player, they might be willing to give up more to get Bruce Brown. You would have his early bird rights for the offseason, so you could bring him back.
Well,
a little bit of,
one more year.
One more year, excuse me. Yeah, because
if you pick up his option, yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be able to have his early bird rights. There are some team building aspects to bringing in Bruce Brown that come into play, but
he's also good.
He's very good, right? Like,
Yeah.
And he's a two-way player. Like what we saw out of him in Denver with the ball in his hands, I think opened a lot of teams' eyes. I mean, Indiana, for instance, and the money that he got, that was pretty good value, I think, when you consider the fact that you can play him big minutes in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen it, and so I just think he's a guy that teams like. Seems pretty coachable. He seems to fit just about every locker room he's been in. He's been around a little bit, so I think that he's a major piece. But maybe Toronto decides they like him and they want to hang on to him. I mean, he's that sort of player, so he may not even move. But I think that if he does, that's a huge swing piece for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like the same thing with Kyle Lowry, right? Kyle Lowry can't go to 7 teams as a buyout player this year, and those 7 teams are the exact ones you think he'd be a good fit for, right? So does someone try to jump in front of the line and trade for him instead of missing out on him because he just can't sign them because they're above the first apron this year? I don't know. We'll see. And Toronto's got a few interesting guys. They got Bruce Brown. He's almost like a perfect new CBA player because he's pretty good. His salary is high enough where you can use him in a few different types of trades. If you pick up his option for next year, I think it's like $23 million, something like that, right? So then that opens the opportunity for you to make a bigger trade next season. Like, he's a pretty good guy to pick up for a lot of reasons. And so I think Dave's got a good one. I think that's going to be an interesting one. I don't know. We wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks ended up trading for him, right, with the injuries that they have. He fits into their culture, I think, pretty well, or he would fit into their culture pretty well. Toronto also has Gary Trent
And he
Jr.
could play with Brunson. He could play with Brunson. And
he didn't go to Villanova, but he could probably do it.
Yeah.